We conclude the year on Simchat Torah with reading the Parsha of Zot Bracha. And then we begin with Sefer Breshit, which obviously has to have some type of connection. But we have to understand an interesting phenomenon mentioned in many Sfarim, which we haven't heard before. And that is, if you notice in all the brachot that Moshe Rabbeinu gives, and also in Yaakov Avinu, in Parshas Vayechi, gives brachot to the Yud Bet Shvatim, we're giving it to the Shiftei Ka. We're talking about all of Bnei Yisrael here. They're compared to animals? That's what they're compared to? What? Over and over again. Yeah, okay. Baruch Hashem, by Yehuda, at least he was compared to a gur aryeh, to something similar to a lion. The Naphtali was compared to an ayala, compared to some type of doe, and the Dan is compared to a nachash, to a snake, and Yisachar is compared to a chamor garam, to some type of donkey. Binyamin compared to a wolf. Yosef in our parsha is compared to a bechor shor. He's compared to some type of ox, some type of bull. Gad is compared to kilavi, like a lioness, not a lion as opposed to a lioness. Teref zroa avkadkod, kilavi shachen. And Dan is guarya. In our parsha, Dan is referred to as guarya, and Vayechi, Yehud is referred to as guarya. What is going on here? This seems extremely condescending, almost embarrassing, to be able to call people Shiftei Ka and refer to them, and referring to the rest of Bnei Yisrael as animals. That doesn't seem to be appropriate. How did the brachas get away with doing such a thing? And it's repetitive. Also Moshe Rabbeinu, also Yaakov Avinu. There must be some idea behind it. And obviously it's compared with something we can learn from Sefer Breshit. And listen to the words of the Zohar. In Sefer Breshit, the Zohar says an incredible thing on the pasuk Vayomer Elokim Naaseh Adam B'Tzalmenu Kidmotenu. When we speak about the fact that Adam Rishon will be made in the Tzelem Elokim, which we're also familiar with, he says over there, Pirush Shem. He says over there in Aramaic, he says this, Shakadosh Baruch Hu Amar L'Kol Abriya. Kadosh Baruch Hu said to the whole entire creation, Hava Naaseh Davar. Let's make something now that it will be a shutfut of the whole entire bria. Let's take the whole entire creation. It's including animals, by the way, because man was created last. He was obviously created after animals. And let's put it all together into one shababel, one big chulant, and we'll pull out of it a person. We'll pull out of it a person, what we call Adam or Adam Rishon. And they put it all together, and he says, and even the Kodesh Baruch Hu says, I'm going to give you a piece of myself also. Unbelievable. This is why man is referred to as what we call an olam katan, kebiyachol, a small world. A small world. We are an encapsulated world in a smaller phenomenon. I always was told the other way around. The world is a large Adam, because of course we are the center of the Bria, we are the center of everything, and the world is an enlargement of aggrandizement of what man is all about. This is the reason why we call it Olam Katan, because of the Zohar which I read to you, which basically says that the whole entire Bria got together to make what we call Adam Rishon. Now, what does this mean? This means that we have all the tchunot, all the character traits that have to do with things that we're familiar with in the Bria. Lamashal, we know that there are 4 elements in the world. There's the Yesod of Esh, which has to do with fire, and of course every man, many people inside of them have the fire inside of them, a fiery passion, or something of a gasut ruach, a certain type of gaiva that a person has. Of course, anger comes from the midah of Esh, and hitlavud, being very excited. Or you have the opposite direction of afar, which is dirt, which has to do with the laziness that comes with a certain heaviness. As we all know, sometimes it's just hard to get out of bed. It's hard to just go ahead and get yourself to do something, even though it's important to do something. My favorite scenario is the person who's lying down in bed and he left a light on and he's so tired to get up, and he turns to one side, covers one eye, covers the other eye, trying to get out, and he just can't get out of bed to turn the light off in order to be able to enjoy his sleep, because that comes from the midah of afar that just keeps us attached. Of course, there's the Yesod of Ruach, which is the power of dibur, of speech, and that has to do with Lashon Hara, or Dvarim B'Telim, or Shtuyot, or the other way around. B'ezrat Hashem, you use it for Divrei Torah. And the appropriate things that your mouth is supposed to be used for. And of course the element of mayim, of water, is the 4th of the elements, and that has to do with the ta'avot. It flows, it's always moving. That's our drives, our passions. The power of love comes from there. And it has, of course, the positive aspects and the negative aspects from it. You can use your drives and passions for going ahead and doing things and taking initiative and doing the positive things, or you can go ahead and use it, of course, to chase after the wrong things or looking in the wrong places where you're not supposed to be. These are the 4 elements that are contained in us. But here we have it, and this is what we started off with. Also contained inside of it is all the animals. That means that all the aspects that you see within an animal, you can find within a person. Some are more enunciated in others than and some people and more. We have every person has more attributes of a certain animal and less attributes of a different animal, but that is the character traits that has to do with each and every one of us. The gvur of an ari, the courage of an ari, of that person who knows how to go ahead and takes initiative and be a starter man. He's able to go ahead and do things and take risks if he needs to do things. Or you have the arimut, the deceitfulness or the cunningness of what we call the nachash, of the snake, or if you will, the fox, that is able to do things that is behind the scenes and able to be very clandestine and secretive and be able to do things in the right way, hopefully, or sometimes in the wrong way. It could be a private eye, a spy, to be able to help things, to be able to help Eretz Israel in their battle against these Arabs, or you can go ahead and use it to be, of course, the other direction, to cheat and be deceitful and cheat people left and right. The azut of an amer, you have the courage, what we call the boldness of a leopard, to be able to have bold and be able to do things. If you know something's right, you get out and do it. Like Tamar went and sat out on the Parsha Drachim. She knew this is the right thing to do, and she went ahead and did it. To be able to go out and be bold and to do it for the right place. But sometimes a person takes boldness in the wrong place, such as the wife of Potiphar. The wife of Potiphar knew that it was good to be with Yosef. She knew that there was great kids that was about to come out of him, but she went and took it too far. A person has to know the exact medium and how much boldness and where to be in order to use that type of medium. The sus, the horse, is known for his gaiva, his stamina. He's as a stallion. This is a beautiful thing. The stallion is incredible. His features it's incredibly aristocratic. The idea of a sus. They're still in an aristocratic place in the kingdom and the palace over there in England. They're still busy with their horses over there, changing the guards with horses. Okay, you can keep it up. But anyways, that's the idea of a person who has a certain gaiva, he's very proud of himself. Or, of course, you can have the chamor. The chamor is more of a person who is incumbent and lets people sit on him. He might be a little bit slower, but he can go ahead and take it, like Yisachar was the man of the Talmidei Chachamim. That's what Yisachar was, and that's why he's compared to the chamor, because he took on the yoke of all of Klal Yisrael on top of him. He took on the yoke of Torah. It's a heavy yoke, and it's something that can be, as they say, metish kocho. It can make a person weak because you're so busy with your learning. So that's the power of what is given to us. We all have different traits of animals that we're mamish a wild zoo. That's incredible. That's within us. And it's a fact, but it's okay because everybody's able to use it for the good or for the bad. It's your choice to be able to decide. It's incredible, the power of man. He's able to use his genius, his brains, his intelligence, his talents, his capabilities, to be able to build a plane, an airplane, or to be able to build a spaceship, to be able to go out into Shamayim and sit on the moon. It's incredible things, or to go down under, to a submarine, or even they have submarines that are able to get to the bottoms of the oceans on a self, to take these subatomical vessels that are able to get all the way to the depths of the ocean. It's incredible. Or the skyscrapers, which we're also familiar with. Or those same people can go ahead and use all their money and intelligence, such as Iran likes to do, for weapons of mass destruction, to be able to destroy the world, to do the best that we can, to be as destructive as possible, as A-bombs and everything, as we're also familiar with. Man has everything within him. He's a walking, if I could call, animal, if you don't mind me using that expression, but he has the abilities and capabilities to be able to use it for the best or the worst. He can go from the top to the bottom. This reminds me of an incredible story that Rav Pinkus said very soon before he was niftar. And he was niftar he passed away not far, but not a little bit before the Twin Towers in 2001. He died in the end of 2000. And he wrote in a certain article, which I kept with me all the time because it had a lot of meaning to me, is that he was walking in New York one time down Manhattan, and he looked up at the skyscraper and he said, "Wow, this is absolutely incredible. Who could have created this? Must have been a man of genius, something special, some creature, some creation to create such a edifice, such a beautiful skyscraper, to be able to reach such high and be so steady, and to be able to handle every type of earthquake also. This is a work of genius." And then he looked down and he put his neck down and he looked down at the people, and what the type of people that were there, they're the ones who are doing this. And it was hard to make the shidduch. This is the person that can make such a skyscraper. Didn't make sense. And he brought a story with the Chofetz Chaim. He said the Chofetz Chaim, as we all know, during the time of the Haskalah, during the time of the Enlightenment movement, he had many grandchildren, and one of his granddaughters she fell into the trap of the Haskalah of the Enlightenment movement, and she was a top university person. And she came to her grandfather one time in his house, and it was in the middle of World War I, actually, and she told him, Zaidi, how long are you going to stay in this primitive place, in these primitive ramifications with these books around you, doing things in the olden time? It's time to get out and smell the coffee. Get out into the real world, and start seeing the advancements of what's happening into the world. The Chofetz Chaim took her to the window, where I told you it was in the middle of World War, and he showed her a biplane. You remember those biplanes with the two guys sitting in the top over there with the goggles and the mask on top of them? And he's got the cover on top, and he saw one person in the front driving the plane, and there was a guy in the back lighting the dynamite sticks and dropping them in different places, trying to blow up different things. He says, see those planes over there? One day those planes are going to be able to make it to the moon. If lo navihu ben navihu, the Chofetz Chaim knew what he was talking about. One day those planes are going to make it to the moon. See those dynamite sticks? See those bombs? One day those bombs are going to be able to destroy the whole entire world. They will have the capabilities of being an atomic bomb. He didn't say the atomic bomb, obviously. They will have the capabilities of exploding and destroying the whole entire world. Zok them, zok the Chofetz Chaim. He says that's what they make. That's what they make. But we make people. We are busy dealing with people and not making things. We're busy dealing with what we call midot, values, character traits, building a person, making him what he can be. That's what we're focused on. We're not interested in destroying and creating external things. Our busyness is to try to make a mensch, and that is only done through the koach of Torah. If I understood correctly from the story there, that girl did not make it through the Holocaust. Ba'al Kopadim, we see from here the yesod that we are bringing. Man has within him the capability to use his traits, to become a mensch, to be able to use him and to go over and beyond his capabilities. Incredible things that he can do. But at the same time, he has the capabilities to go the other direction, to use it for weapons of mass destruction. This is what it says, and this you will understand so many chazals with this. If we had time, I'd love to go through them. But one of the simple ones, Pirkei Avot and Parakeh, everybody knows, we know Yehudim and Tema says, Az kenam erkal kenesh aratz ketzvi v'gibor ke'arei la'asot arichat son avicha b'shamayim. Sounds like a nice mashal, no? He's giving us a nice mashal what you should do in order to be able to be Obed Hashem, like a lion and this. It's not a mashal. He's saying you have it within your kishkas. You don't realize you have the power of a lion within you. You're able to be. How can it be Tovei a person do more? I can't run like a tzvi, like a deer. What do you? How can that be? The answer is, says the Yavitz over there in Avot. He says what it means is because within, instilled inside of every person is a chaya, the capabilities of a chaya with his tchuna, because he's the Nezer Bria. He is the crown of all creation, and therefore he's able to use that tchuna and able to use it to his best. The Malbim brings out the same point on the pasuk Vayitzar Hashem Elokim min Adamah. Here we are in Breshit, like we said in Sefer Breshit. Says the Malbim in Sefer Breshit, Perik Bet, pasuk Yutet. He says researchers have found, the Chokim have found, that there are many different tchunot to the Balei Chaim, and all those tchunot are found within the person. This is what the Malbim says. And he brings down that he says that's why we have tzniut. We learn from, as we all know, the Gemara. The Gemara says that tzniut, being tzanua, you learn from a chatul, from a cat, or gaiva, from a sus, like we mentioned before, being bold and having ga'ava, and it comes from a namer. And gvur, and the strength of a lion, but all of these are learned out from different tchunot. He brings from the Mor Nevuchim, that's the Rambam, in the Guide to the Perplexed, in Chelik Bet, he actually writes this idea about the Maisa and Merkava is made of 4 different animals. He said, why would in the Merkava have 4 different animals? He meant it's coming to express tchunot, that are different types of traits, character traits, and positions that a person can have. That's why if you look at an animal, lechel, that's why Kohelet said to us, and I told you over and over, you look in Chazal, over and over, you'll see these ideas of bringing out animals. Lechel nemela atzel, you the lazy one, look at the nemela. Go look at the ant, how quick he is, and now there. Why should I look at an ant? I'm not an ant. These ants are crazy. They're incredible kochot, they have incredible strengths. No, you don't understand. You have that it's within your tchunot, it's within your capabilities to have the same thing, because you were given everything within you. V'yitzer Hashem kol chayat hasadeh v'yavo al Adam. We know the pasuk in Bereshit says that Adam Rishon received all the animals. He was checking each animal to see which one he fits with, which is such a... He went on a shidduch with every type of animals. I know some people would say the same thing. But, that doesn't make so much sense. He had to wait for Chava to be able to... What are you going on shidduchim with every animal? Doesn't make sense. The answer is that he himself had within him the tchunot of each animal. So he was trying to see which tchuna, which character trait is most established within me that he can make such a connection with. But he was able to give a name to each of these animals because he's the only one that understood to the nth degree exactly what each one stood for. Chatul is from Lashon Nechatel, to cover up, because we say they're very sanua. You understand? Al-Talef is a bat. And that's because it's a lashon of lituf, that they cover themselves up. If you've ever seen a bat sleeping at nighttime, of course we know, well, they're actually sleeping during the day, nighttime they're out. But they're covering themselves up with their wings, and they completely melatef themselves in a very secure type of way. Anyways, this is the yesod that the Malbim tells us, and like I said, it's all over the place. The Nefesh HaChaim and Alevov, the Sefer Ikrim, also writes the same idea. He says that's what it has to do with Sefer Shira, Perek Shira. It says, whoever reads Perek Shira, Yeshal Chelik Lamaba. Oh, that's a good ticket. I love Segulot. I could just read something and that's it. I do have to know what it means. Says the Sefer Ikrim, it doesn't mean just to read it. It means to learn the traits and build your traits from it. Sefer Shira is all about the songs of the whole entire creation. It talks about the skies and the earth, and it talks about the rivers, but it also talks all different types of animals. It goes through every type of animal, which song they sing. Why? Because we're supposed to learn from the traits of the animals what's really within ourselves. It's really that we're there. Of course, it takes time to figure out what's contained within us. We don't know what's going on inside of our bodies. We don't know what's going on inside of our neshamas, what kind of traits we have. So we need to be able to read Sefer, to read Perek Ashira, and if you do that in the proper way, believe it or not, Muftach lo shehu ben olam haba. Omer lo muftach lo shehu ben olam haba. That's the yesod of the Sefer Ikrin. Magid Midubna, the Kovetz Ma'amari, and others, they say such a thing. You know the Gemara in Sota? You should be familiar with this Gemara. We know by Mitzrayim, when they were Shifra and Pua, as we all know, Miriam and Yocheved were giving birth, were helping the women give birth. We all know that Paro said, what happened? Why aren't you taking? They said these words, the lo kenashim mitzriot ivriot ki chayot hena. You should know the women who are Jewish are not like the Egyptian women. They're chayot hena. Now chayot hena could mean, obviously, it could mean that they just do it themselves. But Rashi says they act like chayot. He says they are like chayot. Umazu kechaya nimshala. It's the Gemara in Sota. Yehuda Gur Arya. They're nimshal to a chaya. Just like animals don't need any assistance when they are giving birth, so too they just do it on their own. They don't need our help. And here we have again the enunciation that we are compared, sort of speak, to animals, because each animal has a trait which is to an extreme, to a very expressive amount, that he's able to go and do incredible things, and we have it within us. This gives us an incredible lesson to learn from all of this, and with this we're coming to a close, that we have to realize that each and every person has an incredible amount of traits between them. You have to appreciate every person for what he is. There's no better lesson that we have in chinuch as this idea to make us realize that yes, every kid is different and you have to treat them, and even though you might not relate to it, you might just have a different animal within you than he has. So it's not such a big deal. Don't worry about it. We all have our different traits. Lamashal, those kids who have ADHD, which you understand and it's frustrating, and they're jumping up and down and all over the place, etc., but you don't realize how talented they are. There are people who wrote books and books. Look at Dan Tiukim, just wrote a whole book on kids who are ADHD, about showing the tremendous talents that they have within themselves, the capabilities that they have. People who have ta'avot, who have tremendous lusts and desires, of course is dangerous. We all know that it can get you in the wrong places. It can destroy your life, unfortunately, as we've seen by many people, that it can put you in the wrong place. But you don't realize those passions is what can get a person up in the morning. That the person can get up and go ahead and take initiative and do what needs to be done. A person who's highly intelligent, we always think, oh, he's got the IQ. But many times those highly intelligent people might be like an Einstein, which are not exactly sociable type of people. Or they have tremendous Yetzaharas, or they just don't know how to connect and relate to other people. They don't appreciate other people, and they have their challenges in a different way. So everybody has their, as I say, good, we always say people have good and bad traits. Not that's that. It's the good trait can actually be a bad also. Everything has one side, and the side is sheni, and you have to appreciate every child for what he is, and to raise him, and to make sure not to be kovesh. Don't get rid of that bad trait. The ever-popular Gra says, Chanoch lenar al pi darko. Chas v'shalom, never to get rid al pi darko. You just have to figure out what that trait is and channel it to the right place. There was a person who was giving one time a seminar in terms of encouraging people to, he was giving to a seminar of a bunch of teachers of how to be mechanech. He was a person who taught many teachers, and he said, you should know what we are wagon drivers. That's what we have to do. And nobody understood what he was talking about. What are you talking about, wagon drivers? And he explained, because you know what? How fast the carriage is going to go is as many horses as you have and as strong as you have. If you have fancy, strong stallions, then you're in good shape. If you have 4, 6, 8 horsepower, you're going fast. You're going to be very, very regal. It's very, very impressive, but it has nothing to do with you. How good your horses are, how strong they are, what they are. The only thing you could do is sit in the seat and control the horses. We're just there to steer the horses in the right direction, to make sure that they don't veer to the right or to the left. We have to be able to use our capabilities to know what they are, and then to be able to veer them in the right direction. We spoke about this in the beginning of Sukkot, the idea of figuring who I am, but now we're speaking about the fact that we have to realize that each one of those traits is to know how to control them and to put it in the right place. Are you a chamor? Are you a chamor? When someone else calls someone else a chamor, don't take it personally just because you call someone else a donkey. He just means to express what type of trait he has. That's all. He's just trying to say, oh, you have the trait of being a chamor. He's probably calling you a Talmid Chacham. Because Talmidei Chacham, like chamorim, they're able to carry many, many books on their back. They're able to learn a lot, to be able to do tremendous amount. Yisachar chamor garam. You understand? Is that your trait? The Chofetz Chaim brings at the end of his sefer a tshuva from the Chavet Yar. He says, why do we find? He brings a Gemara in Sanhedrin that someone else called someone else an animal's name. Oh, that's not nice. This is lashon hara. Chofetz Chaim wrote a whole book on lashon hara. Anyway, we have the Gemara. Someone else called someone else an animal's name. So the answer is, he didn't call him an animal. You would never make fun of him and be so condescending to call him an animal. He's trying to say, you have the trait of this animal. That's all. Seder. If I call you, you're like an ant, I'm saying, wow, you're Zariz. You're quick. You're a good guy. That's not so bad to say such a thing. Call you a chamor. Good to go. No one gets insulted when you call yourself like a lion. I call you like a lion. You understand what that means. You have the trait of a lion. You're a gibor. You have initiative. You're the one who's a project starter. You're the one who's able to think of good things. You have courage. You have no fear. You're willing to make investments in the right place. That's the meaning of a gibor. And you know what? But even if I call you a shor, if I call you a shor, so who am I comparing you to? Yosef. Yosef Atzadik was a shor, which is an ox, a bull, is the idea of perseverance. Not necessarily only strength. That's already goes to the lion. It's perseverance. Yosef Atzadik was able to handle every situation and take it on himself. Years and years in a jail, 22 years till he was able to see his father, and years of being able to situate yourself in Mitzrayim and always being persecuted by his brothers. He's a man who perseveres. He takes a situation, a tough situation, and he's persistent, and he continues, and he knows how to be able to handle it. These are the people who are able to carry out the projects. The lion is the one who thinks of the project, the one who's able to carry it through and follow it through and be able to continue it. That's it. The masmidim are the shor. Those are the power of the shor to be able to do it. Not necessarily the smartest, but the ones who are consistent. They keep going. And they're the ones who are able to do it. There's a great gadol here, I would say his name, but I'm not going to say his name just in case it's not allowed. But he has tremendous amount of koilim. He is one of the big, he's a very big name. He's considered one of the gedolim already here in Eretz Yisrael, and he was a Baal Tshuva. He grew up not religious, and when he turned over, there was a person who pointed out, I know that he's going to be a big gadol. And he said, you know why? We were once at a hike together. And he wasn't one of the fastest guys. There were people who were quicker than him. But one thing we knew is we always kept taking breaks. He never took a break. He kept going and pushing and pushing. He's the one who just kept going. His perseverance was incredible. The old turtle and the hare story. That's what he was about. He was a person that not necessarily was the smartest, and he started with a back start. He was a complete Baal Tshuva. And here he is, I'm telling you, he's one of the Gedolei Yisrael. He's considered one of the names. He's whatever. And he has many Muzdot, a very known person. And where does that come from? From the power of a shor, Yosef Atzadik, Mashiach ben Yosef. It's going to come from there. Everybody has their own tchuna. Everybody has their capabilities. And we have to know that every person has their own individuality, and it's not a mashal. We're not here coming to tell you it's a mashal kazeh, that you can, and to make you feel good. It's really true. It's there. It's within us. And that's what we have to encourage ourselves and encourage our children. Because remember, every day you make this bracha. You always make a bracha. She'asali kol tzarki, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me everything I need. I'm not missing anything. Every purpose that I have is given within me. There's no reason to look over our shoulders at that other person, that guy who got a raise in his job, or the guy who's the CEO, and I really should be in his position because he's a dodo brain and I'm much better than him. Each person has that position that he gave me. She'asali kol tzarki, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me the trait that I'm supposed to have. They're just like we know that a person who is a carpenter, he'll never be able to do his job if you give him some electrician's tester, and you can't give an electrician a fountain pen which a sofer tries to use, because each person's got to have the tools that are miyuchad for him, and whatever tools the Kadosh Baruch Hu gave you, that's your job, that's what you're supposed to do. There is no such thing in the class as lower children and higher children. It's a mistaken. They're just different. Everybody has trust me, the ones who are intelligent are lower, they have capabilities from here to tomorrow, and you know that most of the millionaires are the ones that were not necessarily the ones that made it big in school. We all know that. They're usually the ones who are, like we brought before, the meat of the shore, the consistent ones. The ones that are able to do. Each person, there's IQ, there's the IQ of a person, the intelligence. But don't forget about the emotional intelligence, the EI of a person, how much he's able to relate to people. Every single person has their capabilities, and like I said, through Chazals over and over again, we see this phenomenon, and therefore we should take it as a lesson when we're learning and reading about the Parshiot, and we're starting Breshit, and we're starting a new Kriya of the Torah, to make us realize the power of the individual, the power of Klal Yisrael, Vayitzer Hashem Elokim, that we were created B'Tselem Elokim, which means each and every one has their own capabilities, whether it's about yourself or whether it's about your children, and with that we should give our brachot to our children, just like Yaakov and Moshe were busy giving brachot to appreciate the individual capabilities of each one of the Shiftei Ka. Chag Sameach.